This is the last song on this album, and let me sing it before I talk about it. It's called Money Monkey, and the main influence is Pennywise. Maybe it's one of the longer songs on this one. It's probably the longest one. It's kind of more extensive in terms of lyrics and song structure. Cheap labor stamps your paradise. Got to sell at the highest asking price as the gatekeepers feed on what's forgotten. Wealth of nations to soothe the conscience. Don't feel guilty or ashamed. Even bleeding hearts desert the blame. To wake up naked and afraid, unemployed without a name. Money, risk the fall. Money, root of us, You kind of need to have two singers here or background singers for the chorus. Money, monkey, money, monkey. Because the other voice will be singing, risk the funny, the root of us honey, monkey. Going to the next verse. Within a webbed recovery, prophets desperate to believe, devils blind to dig deepest. The gold now rushed and abused in secret, like Nostradamus saving his skin. Mad as hell within the spin. Apathy only feeds the thought to calculate every penny lost. Money, where's the money? The root of... You get the idea. There might be a little bit of a tempo change from the verse to the chorus. Or there might be needed some kind of transition to get to the chorus from that verse. Something really quick, and then just... Because I picture the crowd going crazy in the mosh pit when the chorus comes in really fast. I'm probably singing this completely too slow because I want it to be like a Pennywise album a Pennywise song. I really think about it, Pennywise was maybe the gateway drug. They might be the first punk band I really loved. It was About Time. I think I saw the video for Same Old Story, the skateboarding video, and I was probably, I don't know, like a freshman in high school. And I remember because I recorded it into a blank VHS tape. Whenever I saw a cool music video, I would record it. And Pennywise, I was like, wow, this is like the coolest thing I've seen ever. And yeah, they're still doing it. I think Sublime has a new album with the Bradley Noel's son. And I think someone from Pennywise, maybe the guitarist, is featured on one of the songs or something. I'm going to have to listen to it. I'm probably not going to like it, but I'm biased because I love all the Sublime albums. When you grow up with that stuff, that was like the summertime anthems. Even Robin the Hood was like almost a flawless album. I love that album. And yeah, it'll be tough to appreciate the new Sublime, even though it'll be interesting to listen to. I don't know if it's going to affect me the same way, though. I'm just thinking ahead. I don't know if it's out yet. But maybe I'll share a song from Sublime, too, since I keep mentioning them. Something off Robin the Hood that I haven't thought about in a while. Robin the Hood. As I go through these songs, because I just wrote these yesterday. This one was really crazy, man. First, it was like a Cypress Hill song. Like I was rapping it. And then the chorus was like, money, excuse me, money, monkey. And it just didn't work. I do like how hip hop and punk rock could collaborate, and it does work sometimes, like that. The Co-Defendants, that was pretty cool. If you never heard of them, I'll link that too. The Co-Defendants came out a couple years ago, and they were pretty interesting, cool type of rapping, and the music was all over the place. I really enjoyed it. Listened to it multiple times all the way through. I don't know if they still do albums, but the one was really good. But I'll share that since I'm originally, yeah, this song took me the longest to kind of get into the groove with it. And I still don't know exactly how it goes. In my head, I kind of hear the Pennywise energy at least, and maybe the lead singer's voice. But I don't know, it's still a work in progress. I just came up with this yesterday, last night. I was watching High Stakes Poker or something, and then I just kept trying to edit this song for like an hour, coming up with different melodies. This one really gave me a lot of problems. And before I forget, there is an outro that's more of a spoken word type of thing. I feel like Pennywise implements that sometimes, the lead singer, I forget his name, that they use spoken word kind of. Maybe I'll have to find an example. But I really just About Time was the one I fell in love with. I think that's the perfect album. Other Pennywise people might have grown up with different ones, but that was the one I had on CD. And maybe Unknown Road, Brohim. That it used to be what the Flyers played, Philadelphia Flyers. For a number of years, they played Brohim every time they scored a goal. It was pretty cool to hear Pennywise like that. Like my favorite hockey team and like my favorite punk rock band. That was pretty wild. And yeah, Pennywise, I think I saw them at the Electric Factory once, where I almost got kicked out or arrested because I was trying to fill fill a cigarette with weed in the bathroom stall. And the security guards kicked me out. Then they let me back in for some reason. It was kind of wild. I don't know. I was like 14 or 15 being stupid like that. So there's good memories. I remember that so vividly because I was so afraid I was going to go to jail or some shit. And then the guy was cool. He let me back in. He probably wanted to smoke it or something. I don't know. But then they let me back in, and it was just as Brohim was coming in, and people were going around in a circle. And I'm like, oh, perfect timing. So that was pretty wild. So yeah, Pennywise gives me good memories. I played that CD to death, About Time especially. And they had some recent ones with like Western Wall that was really cool. I remember that song specifically. Really cool riff. I can't do it right now. Maybe I'll share that song since I'm thinking of it. All right, I'm going to share that song since it's in my head. Pennywise, Western Wall. I think that's what it was called. But before I talk more about this, there is an outro which I was about to get to, which is like a spoken word type of thing. And I don't know if it's kind of repetitive, redundant poetry that I always try to write, but I'll go through it. I already edited this a couple times. I said edited. I usually can't say that word. So this is the outro, a little poetry, spoken word section, as maybe different riff comes in. Whether rich or poor, the hordes of whores mentally drag like Pavlov's dog, drink the lead and eat the flag, absent-minded and carpet-bagged, alcohol, united and blessed, brains in fog to retire and repent, empires dawn more overreach and plod, multinational selling God, or whatever force to lessen the give, another wasted primitive money. And then you go back to that. Another wasted primitive Money, reservoir. Yeah, I need to work that out because in my head it doesn't sound as seamless as it should be to go from the verse or the outro to the chorus. So yeah, it's not a polished song, but I feel like the most important thing is having the blueprint almost complete. And then if I would try to record this at that point when I'm actually playing a guitar or hearing the music, something else will click most likely, and something else would develop from that, or somebody else, if I was collaborating, would come up with something else. Because transitions are tough. I've learned that over the years to make a seamless transition without implementing a bridge or just a simple verse, verse, chorus, verse, verse song like that. You have to find that happy place to transition between the music, and it's hard to do to keep the energy up or to change the energy with tempo changes. There's a lot involved with songwriting, even for punk rock. I call these four songs pretty juvenile. Like I could have wrote these songs in high school, but I'm probably on the opposite. I'm probably contradicting myself now. I don't think I could have written songs like this in high school in terms of the lyrics or melody, or I didn't have enough songs in my head yet. I didn't have enough influences to draw from when I was 14. I didn't. I was just getting into stuff, and I didn't understand songwriting like I do today. So it's fun to mess around with different genres, but like I said in the beginning of this, I'm trying to think of a punk rock concept because I love punk rock artwork and folk art. I really like punk rock artwork and album covers. There's so many new or current labels that I haven't experienced or explored. In terms of new punk rock bands, I couldn't name anything. And that makes me feel sad because there's probably a ton of good stuff out there. And I'm like the old guy that just listens to NoFX, Bad Religion, Rancid. And I don't want to be that. I want to experience like what teenagers listen to today. Because I'm totally comfortable going back in time to the 80s with Dead Kennedys and Circle Jerks. But I don't know what to listen to in terms of punk rock when it comes to like new modern stuff right now. I'm sure there's really good stuff. I don't think I'm completely um I'm not like opposed to it. I'm not completely ignorant to some of the stuff that comes out in the scene, but I don't even know what the scene is anymore. I was never a big concert goer. I would go to the Warped Tour sometimes, but that was about it. So I never really was a part of the punk rock scene besides like having friends that were in a band for a couple of years. But even that was like more emo than punk rock, I think. But they're all connected. If you go to a show that they would play like a battle of the bands or something, you would hear hardcore stuff. You would hear thrash metal sometimes, and yeah, it's all connected because I guess that's a part of the underground that isn't as easy to become a commercial product sometimes. Like if the Dead Kennedys came out today, would they have a bigger market? Would they have no market? Would they have commercial viability? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a weird type of music, um, but I think anything's easier today. Even if the streaming services are kind of shitty and they don't pay people fairly, in terms of musical content through social media or other outlets, you can get your music out there. I tried to do it back in the day too, when I had shitty songs, just me and my acoustic. I would try to write songs and put them on random sites like MySpace, but they were so bad. The songs were bad, the recordings were bad, and that was just something you have to go through. You're not going to write good stuff for the majority of your beginning stages. And I wasn't listening to enough stuff at that point. I didn't experience folk music, Americana, indie, gypsy, jazz, and all these other art forms. Like, you have to listen to everything. You really do. I'll go back to Magma, which is weird because I think Jello Biafra has a video on YouTube where he also says he loves Magma. It's one of his favorite bands. It was kind of weird that we share that similar taste like that. But Magma was influenced by John Coltrane, like, and you can hear it the way they do their chanting and more operatic moments. It's very free and kind of mimicking, like when he's screaming, it's kind of like scary, like a free spiritual jazz thing. I guess John Coltrane got into. I'm not a Coltrane scholar, but I listened to enough of his stuff. He did have some trippier stuff like that. What's it called? Like Awakenings, or I talked about it before. I forget what it was called. Yeah, it's the last thing I'll look up because I'm at over 15 minutes. But that's okay. This is the last recording I'm doing today. So, John Coltrane, I think it's called Ascensions. It might be like a double album. Yeah, Ascension. If you want to listen to John Coltrane that you probably haven't heard before, because I found this album maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Never knew it existed. It's from like the mid 60s, 1966. This is according to Wikipedia. Free jazz, blah, 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 1966. Yeah, the edition I got, it was like a double album, and you just disappear, man. But the reason I bring that up, you have to listen to everything, you really do. Even if you don't like it, you don't think you're going to like something. Like, I don't think I'm going to like the new Sublime album, but I'm going to listen to it, and hopefully I'm wrong. I don't want to go in with a biased type of mindset. I want to give it a chance, but I don't know what it's really going to sound like at this point. But yeah, it's really good. Comparable to that Peter Brotzman's Machine Gun. Well, they even list Glenn Branca. Glenn Branca, who I'm a huge fan of, intended his 81 album, The Ascension, to be a continuation of John Coltrane's album Ascension. Well, that's cool. Learned something new. That's two of my favorite albums of all time. That's kind of weird that they're connected like that. That's pretty cool. Well, Peter Brotzman was inspired by this because he had that in '68. All right. I also included that on my Peter Brotzman's Machine Gun. I put that on my 501 list because a lot of when I put in like what jazz albums should I listen to before I die or weird jazz, that album kept coming up. And yeah, it's out there. I can't really describe it. It's just avant-garde. Maybe it's like one of the first no wave type of albums. It really is kind of weird like that. But I guess that's everything. I don't think I'm going to put all these recordings together. Hopefully, people will listen to each one and get a sense of what this punk rock EP would be like. Again, I'm only doing this because primarily I want to give myself some guiding light when I go to record these songs. I need something to base it on because I'm going to forget. And these are very helpful to just have some framework, some building blocks to work on. Like if I was going into a studio, I would have these. But I wrote these pretty quickly. They all came out yesterday. And even though at first I wanted to write like 10 songs, but I'm like, I don't even know what the hell to write about anymore. I just wrote a punk album about a month ago or so called Culture Warts. And that one, was so stupid and juvenile, but that's what I liked. I really enjoyed it. And I wrote the whole thing in one day, in maybe like an hour and a half. And sometimes it hits like that. Yesterday I was like hoping that same thing would happen. And this isn't to say that I'll get some ideas later, but I think I'm out of punk rock, um, obscene, crass type of stuff. I don't think any of these songs are obscene. People might think the porn star one was, but I don't even think I cursed in any of these songs, maybe just once or twice. Um, that's basically where my head's at for this album. It's weird. The Trabajo Duro y Sin Mierdas, that's the one I did before this. That one was painful. It was hard to write all the poetry and edit it over and over again because I just was like, that's a stupid line. That's pretentious. That's a stupid line. What do I even mean by that? What are people going to take away from that? And it's just annoying, man. I don't like writing stuff like that. But also, yeah, the first edit was really stupid, and I had to edit it over and over again. When you write that many lines, yeah, it's going to be hard not to come off as some pretentious weirdo. But I wasn't excited when I had that idea because it was more, I had to use more of my vocabulary and more of my imagination, I guess. And it's not like that doesn't happen on an album like this, but this one is just so enjoyable because I love punk rock so much. It's the most free type of expression. I would say that even if you hate the music, it's hard to argue against that. I feel like even within most people who enjoy punk rock would say like one of the main principles is just allowing um I want to say any type of viewpoint, but yeah, there's like the whole in the 80s there was the whole like skinhead element and a lot of that Nazi shit. So I don't know if that still exists. Hopefully not. Every time I listen to one of those old podcasts with somebody like Fat Mike, they'll talk about that going to shows in Southern California, or even Eric Melvin, I think, told a story how he was at some show, some famous show, that the cops came in and just beat the shit out of everyone. Like they were just like waiting at the door just to kick the shit out of all the teenage punk people. I guess that was in the 80s, yeah. But yeah, you always hear those horror stories about like uh, neo-Nazi people taking over punk scenes and shit like that. So I want to say that punk rock's open to everything, but it's like, does any genre really want that element in there? Probably not. So it's a weird thing, man. I said I'm not a part. I never went to shows that much, like so I never experienced stuff like that. To say what it's really like to be a part of a tribe or a clique, I was never a part of that. I wish I went to more. I started doing that, but maybe like in my mid 30s, I would just come home on a Friday and be like, all right, I need to do something. And I could walk to like Paco to go to Philly. So I would just look for shows to go to every weekend. And I really didn't go to that many, but that was going to be my way to get my energy out. 'Cause, yeah, live music is the best. It really is. The last show I went to was probably like almost 8 years ago. Probably, I think it was a Joy Formidable in Philly, Boot and Saddle, and yeah, it's kind of sad, but I did do some of those like virtual concerts. The last one, maybe the only one I really did was NoFX final show somewhere. Maybe it was in California. They finished with the Decline. That was pretty awesome. So yeah, there's still ways to do it without physically going to a concert venue. But yeah, I do kind of miss it because loud. You go to a shitty warehouse and you find some cool punk band that you never heard of before opening the show. Yeah, I do miss that. It's another way to hunt for music besides hunting for vinyl records or digging through Goodwill bins for cassettes I talked about in the previous post. So yeah, that's something I do miss that's not a part of my musical life. I used to take road trips like maybe once a year, just drive to North Carolina, usually down there, usually south, maybe Indiana once. I think I went to Bloomington. But yeah, I would just go to see shows, try to find local music or concerts, Gillian Welch, whenever she went on tour and stuff like that. So it's like a pilgrimage. It's a way to just, it gives you a destination to just drive somewhere, which I do enjoy doing that, driving on country roads in the middle of nowhere. But all right, that wraps this up. So I don't feel like talking for like 40 minutes. But the main point of this album is that I've realized that when the monkeys inside my brain are hitting on all cylinders and they are directing me towards a punk concept, that nothing else gets me more excited than that. Because hopefully some of these songs will stick. I think it's a unique type of experience. And yeah, the reason I called this song Money Monkey, yeah, Money Monkey. Money Monkey, risk the fall. Number one, it has a cool kind of flow to just that phrase, Money Monkey. I did another doodle, or no, this time it was from like an old collage or something. I don't remember. I had an old digital painting, and then I started messing around with it, and I just started writing money and monkey on the painting, thinking, I don't know, it just sounded cool to me, and that's where the song came from. Right after I like put that on Instagram, so I'll share that too. Almost every song on this came from a doodle or something. So it's just showing you the interaction. That one thing leads to another inspiration. An old painting from, I don't know, years ago led me to write that song. Yeah, the only one is Porn Star Resumes. That one just came, I don't know where that came from. I think from what I said in the first recording, uh, when I first started Instagram, it was just people's artwork, showing people's artwork. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is like PG 13. And then after like a week of doing Instagram, the algorithm just kept showing me like half naked women. It would be like half naked women showing off their paintings. And I'm like, wow, this is getting weird. So that's kind of where I am with Instagram right now. Maybe because I like the wrong stuff. I don't know. Like, I just look at it. Social media is so weird. I get why people hire agencies to handle that shit. When I do it, I just like everything. Not everything, but I like stuff that looks cool, and I'll repost anything I see that I would hang on my wall proudly. And lately, it's just like half naked women. Like, Instagram is like a porn site almost. It really does become that. Like, seriously, I don't know if other people have experiences like this. I've had weird people, well, only two people so far. Some weirdo was trying to get me to do a private message. And then this one lady, she must have just became, because I think her profile was like brand new. And she sent me a link. I opened it. It wasn't like a link out of Instagram. I'm not that stupid. But it took me to just like a naked picture of her. So maybe that's why I started thinking about porno stuff. I don't know. It was odd. There's a lot of weird shit like that. I guess Instagram isn't to blame. How can you really prevent people from doing dirty shit like that? You know, you could have bots, and I guess I could report that profile, but I just block it and be done with it. I'm sure it's just some 30-year-old fat dude in his basement pretending to be a naked woman with huge tits. But it's weird. But that's probably where porn star resumes came from. That's the only one that didn't come from a drawing or a doodle that I did. But the other ones are very connected to the visual arts side of my brain because I've been really, really putting my energy towards that over the last week or so, or 2 weeks. And yeah, Instagram's weird. Hopefully, there is some real stuff on there. I think the majority of it is real. It's not just fake people trolling people, sending dirty pictures of themselves. But there's an element of that, even if you're not looking for porn, that the porn element's going to find you wherever you go online. So if you have kids, just don't have the internet in your house or put those parental controls on that shit. But all right, where am I at? Like 30 minutes? Yeah. All right, that's the end of this. There is a chance that I develop more punk songs, but I don't think so. I think right now this would probably end this punk experiment because it just comes and goes in flashes like that. Especially with punk music, it'll come and go, and I'll be done with the ideas in like a day or two. Lately, that's how it's been, and I'll leave it at that. Hopefully, I have more of these in the future, though. It's just uh, what it really is like, what else do I have to write about? I don't know what else to write about in terms of punk rock type of things. Like under that analysis, it's probably good that I don't listen to a lot of new stuff, so I don't get accused of copying other people. And I'm more than straightforward about the influences about every track I do almost. The main influences throughout my life, I kind of really want to give people credit so I don't come off as like some asshole. Oh, I came up with this shit myself. You know, it's a weird type of thing. When it comes to the visual art side, I don't know what to really cite as an influence besides like surrealist. And I don't know a lot of names besides like Joan Miro or Myro, Dali, and Henry Rousseau is my favorite one. But there's another person named Joan Miro who I really really like. I'm more on that surrealist type of thing, or the punk rock art or folk art. There's a lot of different things that now that I'm thinking of it, will I could list as influences, but I'm not as knowledgeable. I never took art history. I can't name more than a handful of famous artists like that. But I'll end it there. Hopefully, this ending ramble gives you an idea of where my head's at for an album like this. And yeah, I'd have to find that inner ballsy punk rocker that can belt out these songs and not be afraid of anything, which is hard to do.